Right, folks, as I've already indicated, the purpose of doing this is just trying to pull together some of the headlines from the program thus far. Clearly, there will be some more content to come when we're together in March, but we thought now is a good time to do it as by way of preparation for doing your presentations, and for you just to remind you of stuff, and for you to kind of start pulling together your thinking as to what content you may want to draw upon to pull into the 5-minute presentation itself. You've got access to all of the slides. They've both been sent to you by email at the various points in the program in preparation for each of the sessions. Plus, they're also sitting all together on the portal. And Mike and I are, as we've already begun to do in different ways, we'll have in your checkout meeting, in the final conversation in terms of your one-to-one with us in preparation for the residential, then we can help and guide you further on a one-to-one basis in terms of linking where you feel you're at by way of your strategic leadership journey, and maybe drawing in some of the program and making the links to some of the program material. So at its heart, just to remind you, this is what the Up On program is all about. So you've got the quote there. I'm gonna really go through this at a reasonable pace. So this is part of the overall structure of the program. So you may want to use some of this language in terms of the things that and the parts of the program that have mattered most to you in supporting you with your ongoing development as a strategic leader in children's services. And there's more, as you'll be aware. So the sessions that we're going to be doing in March in Birmingham are largely going to be around the kind of partner and improve upon. We've been touching on that, I think, throughout the program in different ways, but we're going to give that concentrated time and attention. And then you've got these areas here about moving forward beyond the timescales of the program itself, i.e. the coaching offer and the opportunity for those who want to do it to sign up to do the accreditation in terms of getting the qualification. And I'll be saying more about the accreditation when we're together in March. So areas that you may want to make reference to in terms of those things that have been important to you in the program and throughout the program might be some of these kind of golden thread components. So it could be the action learning, inclusive leadership. I don't know whether any of you have had the opportunity of doing any leadership learning visits, but also the role of your learning mentor as well. So it's not that you're expected to bring all of that in, but as I say, the things that you feel have been most beneficial to you in supporting you with your leadership development. At the beginning, and I think this would be a good thing, for all of you to reference in different ways, is around where were you when we started the program back in September time? There was all the assessment information that you were engaging with and had the feedback on. And what did that say to you? What did that kind of, I'm sure, reaffirm for you about where you already knew you were at by way of your strategic leadership development? But what maybe were those areas that those different pieces of assessment feedback information that you had, that where you were saying to yourself that it would be good, for me to focus on these areas and for me to be using the Up On program and giving you this kind of unique opportunity to think about, how do you need to continue to grow and develop as a strategic leader in children's services. The offers that you made to each other as well, I mean, you may want to go back. There may be some information in this that you want to draw upon. And that might be something about the peer network that you've established with each other and the relationships that you've built between each other and the sharing of stories and experiences and how you've all approached this. And I think in a really open and honest way with each other, based on some of the conversations I've had the privilege, and I know that Mike and Louise have had the privilege of being party to, either within the action learning sets or just being part of maybe informal discussions that we've had when we've been at the meal tables or drinking the bar, etc. But there may be, say, areas in here which you'll kind of think, actually, this has been really important part of my ongoing development. And then in terms of just going back to the structure of the program, so we badged it up as deliver upon, and that was very much about you as a developing strategic leader. Now, what we're suggesting to people is a structure for your 5 minutes. It may be helpful, and we've spoken to a number of you about this already, is to use the framework of the public narrative. So your story of self, where you were at the beginning of the program, your story of us, how you've used the program, and the us being the kind of, everybody that's been on the program, everybody that's contributed to the program, etc. And then the third part of your presentation would be your story of now. So the story of self, us, and now. And I've kind of built the feedback around those 3 themes in different ways. You've got Steve, and these are some of his early messages. And do use your orange book. I don't know how many, I mean, I see some of you carry your orange book where you've noted things down. So, if you've got quotes that you've heard from people that have really resonated with you, again, feel that you can draw that kind of material into what you share when we're together in March. You've got Sharon's experiences. You've got the actual work that we did together with Elaine and Zoe around the public narrative, which is all about, and again, I think this is, you can almost see this as being another golden thread about, the role of a DCS is the skill to motivate others to join you in action. Well, I know, we've discussed it in the wider group, and, there's been a lot of discussion around these areas, I think, within the action learning sets as well. And then this just gives you a bit more information around the framework of the story of self, us, and now. So you kind of create your own content sitting underneath those headings. Linking all that into the importance of values, which I mean, I've heard that being repeated, that word being repeated on a number of occasions during the course of today, but also during the course of the program. And the importance of emotion, the kind of emotionally intelligent leaders and all that kind of stuff, but leading about how do you bring those 2 powerful things together to create the action and the change that you'll be looking for. And then this takes us into the story of us. So getting the best out of others. So just a bit of content from the program that potentially you could draw upon to sit underneath that. So the strategic quartet, and all that you felt that you were able to take individually and collectively as a group, from both hearing the experiences of leader, chief exec, etc., and then hearing some of their responses to the questions that you raised with them. Inclusive leadership. So, just saying something about that, where, what you feel that you've, from the 3 sessions that you've had around inclusive leadership, which parts of that will you be leaving the program with, knowing that, yeah, I need to do some more work on that, but I feel this it's really helped me to kind of consolidate my understanding of me and who I am and what I bring, but also how I can best help others with that as well. Mirrors model there, me, we, and us. Neil's session, the ability to, what's the expression again? Who can help me? What's it he said about saying yes? Can anybody remember?
Yes, and yes,
yes, and thank you.
Yeah, and the ability to make other people look good.
Yeah, thank you, Louise. So, you know, there may, I'm sure, well, I know that there will be some stuff in there about, you know, because again, that point, I know Neil made it in the kind of creative improvisation skills way. But that point again has been a point that's been repeated, I think, consistently throughout the program about how, you know, as a DCS, well, in your current roles, and as you know, how can you make others feel empowered and feel good and look good and, you know, energize people by the yes and techniques that Neil was helping us all to practice. Some of the stuff I touched on earlier today, so I'm going to rush through that. The workforce strategy, so again, the conversations we had earlier today. And then the partner and improve upon, so about how can we use the wider systems around us in your current roles as a DCS in terms of improving the quality of children's services and ensuring that children's services are focused on improving good outcomes for children, young people, families. What can we learn when things don't go so great? So you've got Chris Monday's experience about working within the wider system. And again, we will be picking that up again where in March when we're together. So some of the thinking that you did with Frank and Lorraine. And they shared with us the McKinsey's 7S's, and then the work you were doing at the last workshop last month around social care or education wicked issues. Around media training, the skills needed, DCS, front of house needs to be prepared to manage the media proactively, but also respond to those kind of tricky situations that any DCS needs to be ready to be able to you know, make a response to, and Pinnaky's experience in doing all of that as well. So we've got the, you know, there's the video from Pinnaky that you could always refer back to. And then again, the work we did back in January about the DCS as the ultimate strategic commissioner that John, Chris and Andrew took us through. So you've got those slides, you know, skills that you need to be able to manage that part of a DCS role and all that's involved. And then the work that Andrew did with us around the markets and the residential markets and how that links into the care review and the and what's starting to emerge from the care review as well, in terms of response to the recommendations. And then the work that you've been doing with Catherine this afternoon. Okay, so this just takes us back to the program flow again. Right, folks, let me just finish off the slides and then I'll get them off the screen. So the next time we're back together again is on Monday the 20th, I think, where the program starts at 10. And it's and then we'll be working through to the Tuesday lunchtime. So these are just some things to kind of bear in mind. So think about and start about your presentation, etc. You were given a handout just to guide you a bit about the doing the 5-minute presentation. So if there's anything you're not sure about, either come back to Mike or myself and say that you'll get the opportunity over the next 2 to 3 weeks to kind of think it through with us. And just letting you know about these 2 workshops. I think you would have been sent information about both of these. So there's the recruitment workshop. So it's a virtual workshop coming up on Tuesday, the 7th of March. And then focus groups. Mike, is there anything further you wanted to say about either of those?
Not specifically. I mean, the recruitment one is an optional extra. It's there for tips and techniques and help in thinking about recruitment processes and how to get yourself in the best place for those if that's something you're thinking about. The focus groups are part of the evaluation strand, so it would be really good if we could get a few people into those conversations just to get some really rich feedback, help us to continue improving the program and keep convincing the DFE to keep funding it. So